Been a long time.
Certainly has. Lots happened, right?
Yeah, how is London?
Very, very cold. We have the day before yesterday, just further north on the outer region of kind of Scotland, it was minus 23 degrees. So,
I know I wouldn't have survived that. I know the last time I came there, I was so cold. I came back, I think if it was this time now, people would have thought I had COVID, I'm sure, because I was like, I couldn't.
Yeah, we're famous for it, right? So I'm
Anup, how are you?
Welcome everybody. Can you hear me? I'm fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Can you hear me? I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How is India?
Yeah. Oh, India is little cold. Yeah.
Hot as well. Okay. It's very hot here though. Very, very hot actually. It's raining and it's hot at the same time.
In your place?
Yeah.
In Lusaka, it's hot?
It's hot and it's humid and it's raining.
Oh.
Yeah. It's good to see you. Jackie, how are you?
So hot. It's like, I think I don't know whether I'm having a hot flash. It is unbearable. I've been down to the sea and we've got very, very cold sea. I went down at 7:30 and I was again there this morning because it's basically the only way I can come down.
Wow.
Very hot.
But you're fine otherwise?
It's been hot for about 2 weeks. It's like that sort of this time of the day in the afternoon. It's terrible. Very good. Thank you. And nice to see everybody. Nice to see you, Rudo.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Nicholas, you were in Harare in March last year.
Hi, everyone. I'm good, thank you. Same complaints. I think Southern Africa in general is just very hot and humid these days, but otherwise, I'm well, locked down and trying to stay sane, but here we are.
Yeah. It's so good to see you, all of you, and thank you so much for your time, and joining in the conversation. We've been having conversations the past few days. The first one, if you have been following, was about, fashion educators and, implementers and those who develop curriculum and everything. And yesterday we had, we were talking to specialists and all. So today I'm very excited that I have you, and we have four. We are all representing, I think, the southern. I almost said southern province, southern region of Africa. We have Europe, we have Asia as well. And today we sort of just want to talk around what is going on in all these areas, what is going on in London, what is going on in Zimbabwe, what is going on in South Africa. And here, we are just starting out and so basically we're just talking around those areas and we're asking the question, why secular design? Is it necessary? Why are we doing it? With all these movements, why are we doing it really? So it's really just a conversation with all of you. And I think we can just introduce ourselves and, talk about the work that we have been doing and why we're doing it and where we hope to go with the work that we're doing. So anyone is free to start really. So I don't know who is willing to pick it up.
Okay, I'll go for it. I am Rudo Nondo and I am the country coordinator for Fashion Revolution Zimbabwe. I am also a fashion and product designer in Zimbabwe but I have been concentrating a lot on community work with artisans within Zimbabwe and a couple of years ago in Switzerland, and also just pushing the sustainable and circular design agenda within our Fashion Revolution core teams and the designers that we work with within the community.
It seems to me that my connection is not very good today, but I hope people can hear me. Can everybody hear me? I've actually deliberately switched off my video just to. Can you hear me?
Okay.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can.
Should I go next, Betty?
Yeah, Jackie, please.
Okay, so I'm Jackie May. I'm based in Cape Town, and I've been working as a journalist and an editor for most of my career. And about 2.5 years ago, I launched TWYG, which started off as kind of an independent media platform to talk about sustainability, and it has developed into having quite a strong focus on fashion and textiles. And in the last few months, I have co-founded the Refashion Lab, where we're looking at opportunities with textile waste, what to do. And I mean, in South Africa, like a lot of other parts of the global South, we have quite a big unemployment rate. I think we've got one of the highest unemployment rates, and it's a bit of a crisis. So we're really trying to connect textile waste to job creation urgently. There's a sense of urgency about it at the moment. And interestingly enough, the State of the Nation address delivered by our president last night spoke about clothing and textile master plan, which we have in place. And I mean, just loads and loads of emphasis on job creation, and circularity is coming into the conversation. And yeah, and they've appointed a climate commission. So some great news there.
Anup, would you like to go? We have
Yep.
Akim Banda joining us. Maybe just before you go, Anup, Mr.
Okay.
Banda from British Council, welcome to our conversation. Maybe you can greet everyone.
Okay. Now, myself, Anupam Majumdar. I am from India. I am basically a textile engineer and a postgraduate in textile design. Now, I worked for several mills in India, textile mills, cotton mills, as well as mills who are working with polyester. Now then, for around 15 years, I am working with the grassroots people, the weavers, and the hand spinners, and the people who are converting the hand-woven fabrics in India, even the embroiderers. So I worked as a consultant for Khadi. Khadi is a concept, I don't know, many of you may know. Khadi is a concept that Mahatma Gandhi, that is Gandhiji, our father of nation, he started when our economy was very bad, in a bad shape. Khadi was considered one of the best movement in India for empowerment of the people. You know, now Khadi is a concept for the textile and fashion industry, where hand spun cotton and hand woven and then hand stitched, that is called khadi. Everything with them, and still I am a consultant for the whole model. Now this is my that is what I am.
Thank you so much. Mr. Banda, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to our conversation.
Yeah, good afternoon, and depending on where you are anyway. India, I guess, is 6 hours ahead of us, so maybe it's about afternoon time. But yeah, thank you so much, Jackie. Good to see you. We met last year. Yeah, I just joined in when you're just giving the some tips there as to what's happening in South Africa. Very excited to see political will actually getting involved in there. I think when you have that support from government level, it's excellent. I think that's wonderful to see that you're actually taking textile waste into employment levels to improve employment levels. I think that's great. We hope that we can learn, I think, also from other countries. So that's great. And oh, lovely cup of coffee there. Ooh, how fortunate you are.
I'm envying that cup of
So
coffee,
yeah,
Jackie.
and Anupam, I know. And Anupam, Grace, also, I just said what you said in India there. That's great stuff that you're doing. Yeah. And Nick, welcome, as well as Rudo. Thanks, guys, for joining. My name is Akim from British Council. Super excited that this is taking off. And this week, Beta has been very, very busy running these shows. I can just imagine how she's feeling right now.
I'm getting there. You know, self-taught Jackie, I think you have an idea of, you know, the nerves that I have right now. Hello, Nick. Welcome.
Hi. Hi, Betty. Yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me. Hello, everybody. At the moment, and interesting to be talking about potentially the European context, because as you know, we're not really in Europe anymore. So he said very disappointingly, not trying to draw us into that kind of conversation. But yeah, so I've been working in and around circular economy for about 25 years now, originally working within large corporate companies, petrochemical companies, actually looking at the way that they could improve practices and bringing material thinking and circular design methodologies into kind of the design area. So architecture, fashion, product design, and so on. And I guess I've moved very much from the sort of industrial context into more of the kind of social context. So although I set up a sustainable design master's program here, I'm very interested in the relationship between what we call social design and sustainable design, and the relationship between the two. And arguably they're one and the same thing in many situations. So so yeah, really looking forward to the conversations today. And we have done work in South Africa before, and I was very privileged to work with Betty last year on the British Council Circular Cultures program and the Making Matters program as well.
So much,
So,
Nick.
hi everybody.
So looking, hearing about your background and everything, maybe you can, we can just like straight away dig into, you know, why we're here and what we are talking about. Why circular design? You have the Community 21. Which is a creative agency, a community of practice consisting of creative organizations. Really, you are addressing issues of the 21st century. Could you tell us a bit about your work there at Community 21? How it's going?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of experience, 21 years. Yeah, so maybe you can just tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, in many ways, it's amazing that we're still talking about this as if it's a new thing. Because it's not really been a new thing, and it's about resourcefulness, right? And we're all probably, with our relationships to design, resourceful people. And I suppose it's just reconfiguring the way we think about our resources. And I suppose my very early experience working with plastics companies was that, just as an example, they were very quick to adopt circular principles, mainly because their raw material was threatened by conflict in the Middle East. So when you were, or indeed in from the African continent as well. And when put under that kind of threat, corporate organizations tend to respond quite quickly with alternative ways to get around those issues. So what they put in place was a way of collecting the plastics back so they could bring it back and reuse it as part of their industry, which is very efficient. It's very technical. It's very much about commodity trading. And what we were trying to say to them is, no, what you're doing is meaningful. And actually in the future, this is going to have cultural relevance. But they didn't want to talk about it because they didn't want any of their customers to know they were using secondhand material. And really, it's taken 25 years or more for that to change in the kind of the context and the kind of the way that, you know, many organizations think about this stuff. So for me, moving into this notion of the kind of community context was very much about what we kind of class as meaning making. So moving from the big industries and working with smaller communities, we're very interested in not just the kind of objective scientific side of dealing with this stuff that we have to do to prevent pollution, to encourage unnecessary mining or transportation of materials. We're doing this also from a cultural point of view. So looking at how we can democratize design, how we can look to keep materials locally sourced, locally produced, locally used, and reconsider our relationship to materials rather than things that just kind of appear in shops and we don't know where they come from. We have no kind of real connection to them, and reopening and reevaluating our relationship to stuff and making it more meaningful. And that comes through lots of different ways, which I'm sure you guys, you know, we can learn a lot from you. But you know, we found that in our experience, there is the technical scientific side, but there's this kind of subjective side that Betty and others have helped me to really learn about the relationship that different people have with different materials in different places. And that's vibrant. That feels like an ecology. That doesn't feel like a monoculture of big organizations owning all the stuff, which is in a lot of cases what they're actually trying to do. So circular economy has a negative side where many of the companies own the ores, they own these rare materials that we won't get our hands on in the future because they will circulate them themselves, and looking at actually the social political value of reconsidering what waste might mean in our neighborhood and turning that into a really positive thing. And as I say, that has huge, you know, if one believes in sort of Darwinian kind of principles, then for me, that brings us back to a kind of archipelago of ideas, of complexity, of nuance, of difference, rather than just singular organizations solving the problems for us, which we need both. And I work with in both contexts. But I think what's really interesting for me is the social opportunity that comes from us rethinking our relationship to these materials. But that might be an overly positive view on it, but it's not all bad, I guess, is what I'm saying. Thank you.
How has the response been from the community? You mentioned the companies that were, the company in particular, the one that was using used bottles. Do you know what is happening now? Are they letting people know that they're using the recycled bottles, or how is it?
Yeah, it's actually sheet material. A lot of it is kind of what, you know, might consider material products. So like Teflon or Perspex or those kind of things. And yes, of course, they're having to continually renegotiate their relationship to these things. And I do think it's, you know, it's very interesting because obviously the circular economy has been seen as a fantastic idea, a really direct way to encapsulate a way of thinking that is quite inclusive, and lots of people can see the idea and its complexity in a way that makes it accessible and usable. But I think there's also obviously an opportunity, as I said before, for companies to misuse this idea and see it almost as business as usual, really. Certainly within fashion and so on, there's lots of questions happening around whether the circular economy is actually almost helping to drive further inequalities and so on. And so I think, you know, all of these companies that we've worked with, and I've worked with large fashion brands as well, are having to constantly rethink what is their moral as well as their material responsibility. And those two things often go very much hand in hand. So, I mean, you know, that was a rambling way of answering your question, Betty. Directly, the company that I was talking about before has, of course, embraced this idea of seeing itself more positively as a circular economy business, even though it works with plastics, which of course have become, you know, having a very, very negative connotation in society. And again, this is where we help them to think about the management of that material that just won't go away. There's no point pretending that it will go away. The only time it goes away is when we burn it. And we don't want to do that. So these materials are precious, and we need to rethink and revalue them. And that fits well with them, because they want to see their material as valuable, and because obviously that has monetary potential and connotations built into it, but also it fits with some of their branding around the idea of quality. And obviously quality and luxury, these things are really interesting, malleable terms now. And even, you know, the big luxury fashion brands are really rethinking their relationship to reuse and recycling. Actually, one of the products that myself and my wife Tanya have made is a pair of shoes that's made of recycled spectacles, and it actually talks a lot about our relationships to secondhand, because obviously in the African context, many countries are refusing secondhand materials, rightly or wrongly. You know, that's all to be debated and discussed. Whereas some of even the big brands now, the big Madison Avenue brands, are really thinking about their relationship and how they communicate through materials about their changing ethics and morals. So I think for me, all of that is just deeply, deeply fascinating, because it's as much about the human condition as it is about the materials themselves.
I know you've worked a lot also. You have a lot of experience in working with circularity, and I just want to hear, you know, as an individual, I've known you for some time now, and I know that as an individual you live in a certain way that is so inspiring. You have inspired me actually. And
thank you.
yeah, I want you to talk about the professional side of you working with you know, weavers, because you work with people from the grassroots, yes, the weavers themselves, and you know, companies. You've worked with big companies, and how has that experience been for you? And you know, the different experience with the big businesses and the smaller businesses on the ground. How has that worked for you?
Okay, thank you, Betty, and thank you, everyone. The thing is, because we are here today for circular design, and circular design, is it necessary? Yes, it is necessary. It is absolute necessary. You know, when you say circular design, without acceptance in economy and in social background, design don't exist. Design actually don't exist. What we are designer we're doing here, we are petty people who are making different kind of product. That's it. We are making product for whom? For the people in the society. One hand for the people in the society, and another hand there are big business houses, tycoons, they're making it. We are just in between, you know, one people who are using it and one people who are making it. Now our whole culture, our whole uh, they taught us to use. We all make designs for, you know, consume. So I don't believe in this way. Why we are consuming the world? We are consumer here. We all are consumer here to consume the world, consume our own, you know, thing. So I am against the world of consume. And when you minus the word consume from your brain, then you see the world is different. We are not consuming here. We are not the consumers. You know, so circular design, circular economy start from here. First is reduce. What do you mean by reduce? You have to accept the basic. That's the reduce. You have to accept the basic, the bare minimum thing. That's the point of reduction. That's the point of reduce. Other than anything is extravagancy. That's what I mean. And then you are saying reuse. It's okay. Reuse is a good thing. Reuse is a good thing. I I personally reuse a lot of things. People throw out things. I take and I wear it. I started this in my life 10 years back. When I shifted my big job from multinationals to the weavers of India, I started like this. The shirt I am wearing is a second-hand shirt. Because I'm a textile professional, I know if I wash it very well, nothing remains in it. This cotton and anything, it's not anybody's own. It's natural. It's only mindset. It's only the mindset. You know, somebody says it is first hand and somebody says it is second hand. Somebody says it is third hand. Doesn't matter anyway. We are saving our earth. You know, this is one of my relative. He is a very big businessman. Every 2-3 months he buy a lot of watches and he threw out them. This sicko, it cost around $1,000. He threw out, and I am wearing it today.
Okay.
It is written Siko. Nowhere is written it's my relative's watch, and it is working perfectly. And
Why,
when I
why
go
did he
with
throw
it,
it away?
because he needs more, he needs more. He needs more watches. He needs more t-shirts. He needs more everything more.
So what
There
you
is
are
never
saying
end of
is
it.
that for us to start targeting or to start
Yes,
encouraging, we have to encourage
yes,
first of all the
yes.
bare minimums.
We,
That's what you're saying, right? Yeah.
we need to encourage people. We need to set up a different kind of background. We need to teach people that nothing wrong in this. Ultimately, doing this, you are saving the world. And third point is recycle. I don't agree with recycle. When you recycle a thing, what you are doing, you are extracting the material from the original product, isn't it? And in the process of extracting the material, you are using energy again. You are using energy again. So, where is your carbon footprint? You are actually increasing the carbon footprint. You are damaging the world, basically. There are a lot of people, they are saying there are 3 steps: reduce, reuse, and recycle. For me, the recycle step is the minimum process. If you recycle a thing, you save our earth only 10%. That's it. Nothing more than that. Only 10%. You, now, another thing I want to tell, that circular thinking must start with socio-economic model. It's not a design thing. It's not a design subject at all. Circular thing, the whole circular ideology must start with socio-economic model. We need to come up with a good socio-economic model for everybody, not for the tycoons. You know, that day I was talking with Betty. If you remember, Betty, when I was in Kafue, uh, in Zambia, I I am I was fortunate to see the villages inside and the small village, shops, roadside shops, and everything. I never found a silk, a cotton, anything over there. I found all the Chinese reused goods. Why? When you are saying recycle or reuse, so all the people less able, they are targeted for reuse. No, I have visited Europe 1,000 times, several times. I have never seen people are using reused things over there in Europe. In India, yes. In third world, yes. I am not against uh, anybody. I am not against Europeans. I am not against even Americans. But this is a fact. This is a fact. So when you say it's a circular economy, when you say it's a circular design, then please speak all this. Circular economy for whom? Circular economy for the third world? Circular design for whom? For us only? We are the
So
producer of the cottons.
yeah. So
We are
Anup,
the producer of the... Yeah,
just to ask you there. So you
yeah,
think that sorry to cut you short. So you
yeah,
think that there is no. I'm trying to understand
yeah,
your thought.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. So you think that what do you think about secular design in India?
You
And
know, even Indian scenario and Zambian scenario is not a different scenario. Even go to Indian villages, they are the producer of the cotton. They are wearing polyester, second-hand polyester. Why? They don't deserve second-hand polyester. They are the producers. They are the growing cottons.
so what do you think should be done in that area then to
Now, I worked several years with Reliance Industries, one of the biggest producer of polyester in the world. One of the biggest producer of the polyester in the world is Reliance Industries. It's in India. So, and then after a time, when I reached a good position, I left this company. I thought I'll not work for this. No way. That is not my motto. Now the thing is, they are they are saying a lot of things in their whatever note and whatever way in the market, but they are actually increasing their production. Why they are increasing their production? Why? Who needs polyester? You tell me, na? In textile industry, who needs polyester? Do you need it? They make polyester as good as cotton, and the name the polyester cotton rich. No cotton is there. Only the name is cotton rich. Because if you want to search whether it is a cotton or polyester, then you need to test it. After testing only, you will come to understand that this is not a cotton, this is a polyester. So why you are doing all this? Do you think this kind of attitude people are doing all over world, not only Reliance, because I work with Reliance, so I know everybody is doing. Why? You encourage cotton, na?
okay. I
You
think
encourage cotton. There are a lot of cotton in the world. You encourage cotton. Forget polyester. Wherever it is necessary, polyester is necessary in industrial parts and machine parts. You use that. But polyester is not necessary in wearing and textiles. It's not at all necessary. Why you are doing it?
I think there's a lot
Because you want.
to do with
Yeah.
changing, just like you said, changing the social aspect of all these things in order to deal with how we are going to drive the circularity. I'm going to just quickly
And circular economy. Without you have a circular model of environment, you can't achieve circular design or circular economy. Now, let me uh, tell you something else. In India, some example I want to give you. In India, our women wear saris. Sari is a dress. It doesn't require any stitch. Okay, it's a 6 yard cloth. Our women only drape it. Okay, and the same sari they can use in several other uses, multiple uses, because it's only a cloth. It's a thin cloth. That's it. So we should study ex- this kind of product as an example for circular design. You know, our design thinking, our design conceptualization should take consideration of this kind of product.
like the sari where you there's zero stitching, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it don't require any stitching. Basically, it's stitching less, and because it is a 6 yard cloth, if you don't wear it as a sari, if you don't wear it, you can wear it elsewhere. You can use it elsewhere in your household everywhere. And in India, It is
Let me
our,
tell-
I
I'm
was,
going. I'm going to move to you, Jackie. You can just talk a little bit more about your movement, the movement, what is happening on the ground in South Africa. You know, I know that you have the sustainable awards, sustainable fashion awards, and all those things. How is it going? How are the designers, you know, reacting or responding to that? And you know, how are the people? Because when these designers design the clothes and all, I'm sure that some people are there to buy or not to buy. What is happening around that?
So it's interesting you asked the question about buying. I don't do any sales. I haven't engaged with that at all, and I don't think I will. The purpose of the awards is really to kind of showcase the people who are working more responsibly and to try and support them. I mean, it's very interesting to hear Anu's comments on cotton. Our biggest problem here is access to preferred fibers. So most of the designers, whenever, you know, when I've done surveys, I speak to them often, it's like, where can we find decent? We know their farmers growing cotton here, but we can't find it. We can't buy it. It gets exported and gets beneficiated outside of the country, and then it comes in at costs that can't be afforded. So really what we try and do is create an ecosystem of support. If I do find any information that could be helpful, or I connect people to, you know, the hemp importers, but that again is imported, or when we do find cotton that people can use, we make sure that you know, people know about it, and put stories together and trying to build that sort of support structure. So it's really been interesting. And also, we don't have a fashion awards in South Africa. So we've got a few fashion weeks. There's a lot of kind of rivalry between the two, but this is sort of an award ceremony, and it's really trying not to be a competition, really just celebrating, and not to only be about fashion design, but also this year I want to introduce a category for CMTs and manufacturers. Yeah, and then there's a big emphasis on trying to grow the sector again. We had you know, behind the closed borders of apartheid and before globalization, we had quite a thriving industry here. Quite a large part of that was making uniforms, including army uniforms, which is a bit depressing. But subsequent to the opening of the trade barriers, imports, I mean, Anu was referring to imports. We have a lot of imported cheap clothing coming in, and there is a bit of a secondhand market. You know, I think some people do get permits to bring in secondhand clothing, and I think there's quite a lot of illegal activity going on there too. I mean, I don't think I know that. So yeah, it's just trying to get a healthy ecosystem as we rebuild the industry to also make sure that it's done responsibly. We have a very, very strong trade union, so they're on top of the kind of ethical labor side of it, which is great to know. Yeah, but just to facilitate this transition that we have to go through. And now, as I said earlier, I'm entering into the textile waste space. And trying to find, I think in India, there's an amazing example of an organization called, I don't know how you pronounce it, but Kunij. I just saw the World Economic Forum did a little story on it recently. And just that concept of getting waste that, you know,